intriguing find was discovered during a major excavation at the Egyptian temple of Karnak.
They came upon a huge cache of statues that had been buried at some point in antiquity. And among these statues was a very interesting artifact. It was an alabaster jar dated by inscription to the reign of Amenhotep III, and it's about 3,000 years ago.
It may look like a simple container, but this pot would have been useless for storing any liquids. It leaks.
Water would be put into the jar and would flow out at a controlled rate, and this served as a timing device.
Small holes down the sides of the urn indicate how much water has escaped. All the priest would have to do is examine how full the pot was, and he could tell how much time had passed since the clock was filled. It is the world's first water clock. But is there evidence from the ancient world of technically advanced clocks that kept time permanently? Clocks that were fully automated? The search begins in the library of St. John's College in Oxford. Some of the documents stored here are over 1,000 years old. Dr. Emily Savage-Smith from Oxford University's Department of Oriental Studies is researching a medieval inventor, robotics engineer and clockmaker. His name is Al-Jazari.
Al-Jazari, in 1206, composed a treatise on ingenious mechanical devices, in which he described roughly 50 devices in great detail.
The Topkapi Library in Istanbul still contains copies of this historic manuscript. Within its pages can be found details of some groundbreaking engineering inventions written by Al-Jazari himself.
He's important because it happens that his is the only treatise that we have preserved today that does this.
Al-Jazari was part of a new wave of Middle Eastern inventors who understood the legacy of the Alexandrian proto-robot designers that had come before.
They had obviously read Heron of Alexandria, and we know that it was translated in Baghdad at that time.
Building on the innovations of the Alexandrians, Al-Jazari created one of the world's most complex and impressive automated machines designed to keep time. In a Dubai shopping mall, historians and engineers have created a model of this impressive machine. It is known as the Castle Clock. At regular intervals throughout the day, the clock performs certain specific actions. Signs of the zodiac rotate around the top of the clock. A moon travels along the top, opening doors to show the passing hours. Falcons drop a ball every half an hour, and every hour the robot musicians play. Behind the clock we can see the ingenious arrangement of mechanics that drive this sophisticated chain of events. Water drains out of a vertical tube under gravity. In this barrel is a float that falls with the height of the water. This pulls a rope that rotates the disc, giving the signs of the zodiac. This rope also pulls a trolley, to which is attached the crescent moon, which moves along the front. And rods on the trolley activate the opening of the doors exactly as the moon passes. As the trolley passes set points, it releases balls that run down a tube and out of the falcon's mouth into the bowl. Meanwhile, the water that was draining from the vertical tube runs into a basin. When this reaches its siphon point, it rushes out past a water wheel. This water wheel is attached to a camshaft. Cams on the shaft knock on levers attached to the musicians at the front who move and play. It was said that the clock kept very accurate time hundreds of years before clockwork, the harnessing of electricity, or the use of servos. But there's an even more intriguing element to this machine. In the medieval Islamic world, the day was divided into 12 hours between sunrise and sunset. This meant that as the days got longer in summer or shorter in winter, the clock would have to be reprogrammed to a different length of hour. This was done every day, making Al-Jazari's Castle Clock truly one of the world's first programmable supercomputers.
Al-Jazari can be regarded as the person who invented the first robot.
Yet for all of the innovation of the ancient world, there remains one amazing invention that stands apart. A fully automated, self-propelled, programmable robot. The idea of the robot captures the human imagination. The notion of artificial pets, servants, warriors or entertainers has enthralled human beings for millennia. But is there evidence that engineers of the past were actually creating this type of robot hundreds of years ago? Is it possible that there were artificial humans and animals in antiquity?
Throughout Chinese history, there have been stories of magical and fantastical machines that imitated human figures doing all sorts of activities. And the little gadget I've got here is actually of a serving girl, and the idea is that she will carry a glass of wine or drink to one of the guests at the dinner table.
The model performs a predetermined circuit of the table. This ancient android is powered by a coiled spring that is wound by the operator exactly the same way we might wind a watch or clock today. This spring drives a large central cog. The central cog is connected to several smaller cogs, each with their own function. It is the complicated and sophisticated interaction of these smaller cogs that produces the range of movements that the girl performs. An amazing achievement, hundreds of years before the complex machines of the European Industrial Revolution.
We should not be surprised that the ancients had robotic technology. They were not fools. They had mechanism, they had power, they had vision.
But the T-girl always repeats the same moves. To see a self-propelled, automatic, programmable robot, we must turn to one of the most famous inventors in history, Leonardo da Vinci. Could Leonardo really have created a self-propelled, fully programmable robot? Historic records tell us that 500 years ago, during an official ceremony, Leonardo presented a stunning gift to the King of France.
And we know for sure the King of France once witnessed the robot because it was a big celebration.
As onlookers watched in amazement, a lion walked with no wires or any help or interaction across the floor of the throne room.
And it came out to the King of France, opened its chest and gave him flowers, and everybody was stunned.
Today, using modern research, might it be possible to reconstruct Leonardo's lion? The challenge is monumental. Leonardo's blueprints of the robot lion have been lost to history.
After Leonardo died, his manuscripts got spread everywhere. Lots of them got lost, about 2/3 of them, and lots of others got cut up and put in different pages.
At a robot laboratory in Florence, Leonardo expert Laura Stiatesi works with the latest computer modeling software.
The biggest problem was to produce a lion that had a range of movements, but furthermore, that all these movements would be powered by springs, without the aid of any motor or electrical input whatsoever.
Also on the team is ancient robotics expert Luca Gari. In a 300-year-old library in Bologna, Luca is trying to piece together the clues in Leonardo's sketches to discover the mechanisms within the lion that made it programmable.
The first person to actually program mechanisms was Leonardo during the Renaissance. He drew on some ideas from the Arabs and maybe even the Chinese via the Arabs. But he was the very first to actually create a programmable machine.
The historians have to search through the remnants of evidence Leonardo left us and use all their powers of deduction. The hope of robotics specialists, historians and model makers is to decode the sketches in the Codex Atlanticus and recreate the first fully automated, programmable, historic robot using only ideas set out by Leonardo himself.
We were very determined not to use any modern technologies or to take any shortcuts that were not available back then.
Limited to technologies known to Leonardo, the researchers have created this beautiful reconstruction.